Hello everyone, welcome. And I have previously made a few videos regarding popularity and communities and how both of them can really shape a game, and specifically in reference to gacha games like Genshin, Arknights, Honkai, Tower Fantasy, etc. And I've stated numerous times that popularity isn't necessarily a one-track to success. It's not necessarily a all 100% good thing. There's pros and cons to it both ways. In the same way that a game being popular attracts more people to play it, it subsequently also attracts a lot more negative attention. So in this instance, I want to continue with that point and talk about how drama can theoretically shape, impact, and change the state of a game. This is a bit of a difficult topic. This is because drama can be defined as a bunch of different things, and there are a bunch of different types of drama. You could have something like Blue Archive, in which they centered a specific scene in the game. You could have drama in the community between the content creators themselves and the player base. You could have individuals being mad over banner schedules. Or you could have a situation in which creators then leave one game, and even though they branch out and continue making content for other video games, the drama or information that circulates through them, or the information they bluntly state about your game, still continue to impact that community. Now, ultimately, regardless of which one I or you perceive to be drama, all of these do impact a community to a degree. All of these do impact a game because they impact the perception people may have of that community, of that group. I don't think anyone needs telling of the fact that Genshin Impact has a pretty bad reputation, specifically Genshin Twitter. I don't think anyone would disagree with the concept of that maybe perhaps impacting the way people view the Genshin community and perhaps people's willingness to try the game out. I think that depending on the type of controversy and the type of drama surrounding the community or that game itself, whether that be the developer's fault, the individual who runs social media accounts' fault, or the actual fault of creators and community members, can vaguely and dramatically impact individuals' willingness to both try a game and continue on with a game. If you see that one side of the server is getting treated better than the other, for instance, the CN side may be treated much better than the global server itself or the NA server, in Genshin Impact at least, if one side is treated better, I'm pretty sure a large majority of individuals are less keen on continuing playing because that favoritism does push them away. This also could attribute to the fact that if, let's say hypothetically, you are an individual who's looking to try out a game and looking for content creators to watch, maybe looking for guides and tutorials, and you continuously scroll through, and at a certain point your YouTube recommendations get full of videos correlating to whatever game you're looking for, and every day or every week or every month even, you're seeing constant drama pop up here and there, whether that be from the Reddit side of things, whether that be from the Twitter side of things, the content creators themselves are getting into arguments and battles against each other. That dramatically dampens your experience with the game itself, because even though on a theoretical standpoint your experience has not changed, the perception you have of it and the perception you have of that community has changed. I think that one of the core factors to what I'm going to look at, the primary culprit of this, is Genshin Impact. One of the core aspects of that game is not necessarily the community. The community is bad on Twitter, but the community wouldn't nearly be as bad if you didn't have content creators focusing up and amping up and in some ways pushing that forward. I don't think it's far-fetched to say that a large amount of people hop on Twitter, they look at what they want to look at, and then they hop off. And yeah, you're going to have a small group or even a large group of individuals who will choose to tweet out what they think, but it's very easy to avoid that topic. I personally follow Genshin Impact Twitter just so I can openly look at the new characters announced and then leave. And I never see the drama itself on that Twitter side of things. I never look at it and I never go out of my way to find it. I don't follow Genshin content creators on Twitter. I do watch them on YouTube though. And as a result of that, I am more inclined to find out about drama via a content creator on YouTube than I am anyone on Twitter. This does not just apply to Genshin Impact. This applies to Arknights. This applies to Blue Archive. And Blue Archive was censoring certain scenes. I found out about it via YouTube. When Arknights went trending on Twitter because of the design itself, I found out about that on YouTube, even though it happened on Twitter. I think the most impactful part of a game's perception, its success, and the overall perspective people seem to have on that community itself is due directly to a lot of content creators. Don't get me wrong. I'm not calling out any content creators, nor am I ever saying that, I entirely blame them. What I am saying, though, is that I do understand that from an outside perspective, one of the first ways I'm going to look at a game and find out if it's worth playing, if it's worth getting into, is going onto YouTube, typing in the game and looking at videos based by certain creators, especially more well-known ones or higher up ones in terms of subscriber count or view count. And if that creator ends up continuously leading me down a rabbit hole of there's a controversy here, there's drama here, this is happening, that's bad, this is bad, then my perception of a game is going to be diluted entirely to an extent to where I may not even try it. An example of this is Arknights. I originally played Genshin Impact first, then I moved over to Honkai Impact, and finally I tried Arknights third. But I went into Arknights with a much more negative opinion of the game itself, primarily due to the comments that I had repeatedly heard from Tectone, who was now a Genshin Impact content creator. And even though I didn't know the details of that, because I watched his Genshin content, I liked his Genshin content, and subsequently I followed him and followed a lot of his videos, it led me to an extent to where when he had negative perception in Arknights, I subsequently had those perceptions sort of ingrained when I went into the game. Now, I play Arknights, I enjoy it, I like the community, but that still doesn't change the fact that even though I had never played the game, the perceptions of another creator had dramatically changed my outside opinion on that game's community and on that game itself. I think Arknights is a wonderful game. I think the community is great, but I do think that even if a creator stays with the game for a while, leaves, their comments, their actions can subsequently, to a small degree, reflect and impact a community itself and a game in of itself. I don't think there's been a gacha game or an entire drama series that has really affected the success of a game, but I think there is a lot of situations in which drama has either severely impacted sales, severely impacted opinions, or perhaps stopped people from playing. Genshin has 27,000 other issues, and the first big debacle, which really got the community entirely involved, was Zhongli's release and whether or not he deserved a buff. For Blue Archive, the most notable thing I remember is the censoring of certain scenes. Arknights. I don't know a lot about the drama in that community, and you know what? I'm considering that a very good thing, but I do know, considering it's been around for a lot longer and has a much larger community, I understand there's probably been a couple, so if you have certain experiences you want to talk about, leave them in the comment section down below if you're still watching. But I think that, in my personal opinion, even though I understand and have mentioned numerous times, communities can dramatically impact the success, failures, and perceptions that people have of game, I do not think that it's ever solely just due to a subreddit or anything like that, or even Twitter. I think that instead it has to primarily do with content creators on YouTube and on Twitch further pushing out not only this issue, but also whatever is currently being discussed. Because even if you're talking about and disagreeing with the perceptions of people on Twitter, it's how you title it, how you thumbnail it. Because that's people's first experience with that form of content. So if you're talking about how Twitter doesn't like something like Genshin Impact designs and you're telling that video is Genshin racist, well, I don't need to look further because now I see, or at least appear to see and understand what the video is about. And now this is something that I'm carrying with me. There are quite a lot of situations in which you have creators who would unintentionally or intentionally negatively choose to impact, discuss, and in some way, shape, or form alter people's perceptions of an opinion of a game. You could even say that I'm doing that to a degree. I talk about Blue Archive a lot. I praise it a lot. I praise pretty much a lot of the games I play on this channel consistently, but I also talk about things I dislike. And if you choose to say that that negatively impacts somebody else's experience, that's fair. But I don't think in my right mind I could ever comfortably say that a community like the Blue Archive subreddit, or the Arknights subreddit, or the Arknights Discord server, or the Genshin subreddit and Discord server is actively ruining players' experience. I think that for the most part, even if you go to the Discord server and subreddit and you have an awful time, you can pretty much retreat from that and that's fine. But YouTube is a place where so many individuals spend so much time, wherein if you start getting recommended videos that are constantly talking about how awful this community is, or constantly bringing up the drama in certain communities, it pretty heavily ruins your experience, or at least alters it to some degree. But I want to know from you, what do you think is the worst part about communities? What do you think is the worst part about drama, and how negatively do you think it impacts a game itself? It's 4 a.m. I'm going to bed. Thank you for watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, consider subscribing, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.